Folks, Bitcoin and Ethereum both had a big dip or a crash today, however you want to call it. Bitcoin went to my target, which is below 78K, took out all the longs, went to 76, but not quite there yet. I would think, unless the stocks pull out a miracle, then I've been saying 73K area is probably the target. ETH went right there. ETH went to my target of 1700, but it was a surprise, because ETH got there earlier than I would have thought. So this is the logic that I was working with. Okay, let's go with the Bitcoin chart first and see here. Basically, I was thinking, now Bitcoin has a lot of longs with stops here, and we need to take that out. That's indeed what the exchanges did. They went there once, twice to make sure they took out all the longs. But you know what? Bitcoin right now is kind of suspended in the middle of nowhere, right? There's no real support here. Like, I can't see any support levels here. The support levels start to coming around here, right? And that's 71, 72, 73K area, right? In the low 70s. So that's where Bitcoin can potentially find some support. ETH got there a lot quicker than I thought it would. I thought, okay, if Bitcoin made its panic bottom at say 73K, then maybe Ethereum goes to its real support level, which is around 1700. This seems a little bit easy, so I'm not entirely convinced either Bitcoin or ETH has bottomed, even though ETH has hit my ultimate target already. Today, why is the market doing this? If you've been watching my videos at all, or in my Discord, I've been telling folks that it's because the Bitcoin, when it crashed 2 weeks ago, and I said this 2 weeks ago, was front running the crash that was about to come in stocks, because Bitcoin's a lot smaller and it's a lot more agile. It's open 24/7. Stocks only open for business hours, 5 days a week. So therefore, Bitcoin goes down first, knowing that stocks would take some time to follow, right? They knew this crash. People like myself saw a big fall in stocks coming, and that's what I've been warning. You can look up all my videos or tweets for the last 2 weeks. I've been saying it's front running. Bitcoin's front running the dump that's coming in stocks. How did I know this? Or how do other people like myself know this? Well, it's because of what Trump said. Now, this is a recent interview, right? I'm going to show you guys 15 seconds from this clip. This is a very recent interview, but but he's said similar things to this before, right? Where he has done stuff that led us to believe this is true, and now he's finally said it himself, and he's confirming it. But before we get to the Trump 15-second interview, let's just answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo use? Well, Pablo uses a crypto exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. That means the CIA can't see you, the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see you, the FBI, nobody can see you, right? I like them so much, I made a deal with them. Here's the Pablo deal. Win a Tesla Model 3, Rolex, or Vision Pro just by signing up and trading, right? 1 day left, last day of the offer, and on this link only. If you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. But if you're on any other platform, basically, then just go to my profile page. On my profile page, there is the stand link. We click on the stand link, and the offer should pop up. Okay, let's go back to the charts, the interview rather, and see what Trump had to say for 15 seconds that finally confirmed and freaked out the market. Here we go.
Much. I mean, in all fairness.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And
okay, folks. So let's just recap on what Trump just said, and this is very, very important. I hope you guys can keep in mind what he said in that 15 seconds. He said, "I'm trying to build a great country. You can't be watching the stock market." This is what I literally tweeted, and I made videos, and I told my whole Discord about this. Trump is not watching the stock market; he's watching the bond market, right? That's why if stocks tank, he doesn't care. And when stocks tank like this, like 12, 15%, then Bitcoin crashes 30-something%. This is a very easy logic to follow, whether you want to believe in that or not. He literally just said, you can't be watching the stock market if you're trying to build a great country, right? You can't be just watching like daily, oh, stock market reacted to this, stock market reacted to that, it went up today, it went down today. So they like what I did today and they didn't like what I did today. You can't watch that. You got to stop that. I'm trying to build a great country for the long term. He compared US to China. He said China has these 100-year plans, right? US goes by the quarter. Is the stock market up today, this week, this month, or this quarter? Whereas China doesn't care. Like if you look at the Chinese stock market, it's basically gone like this. It's just gone down, right? Basically, and it's sideways going down at the bottom, and now it's broken out. And yeah, Pablo picked that one, but who could have predicted this? So Trump has been saying, Elon has been saying the same thing, that the US government right now doesn't really care about the stock market. They care about the bond market. And I explained this and explained this and explained this many times before to you guys, right? Basically, the US bond market, the US government is about to go broke. They have to refinance $7 trillion. $7 trillion. Right, in just the next 6 months. They collect 4.9 trillion, not even $5 trillion in taxes for the whole year. And Trump's about to do major tax cuts, so he might only collect 4 trillion or less. But he needs to borrow 7 trillion, not in the next year, but in the next 6 months. So of course he's freaked out. Sure, he can borrow that, but at what rate? He probably has to borrow that as like 4.7%, 4.2%, 4.5%, whatever. He wants to get that down to 3%. So that's why he's doing everything he can. Here's the key difference. He's doing everything he can to get the US 10-year Treasury yield down. Let me just show you guys, right? And people think he's going to create a recession, including myself. Well, obviously, Trump would want to have the best of both worlds, which is not to create a recession, but to make people believe you're going to have a recession. So what do we see here? That's the US 10-year Treasury. Trump wants to pull off a miracle, a magic trick. And that magic trick is basically make the market believe we're going into a recession. When we go into a recession, the US Treasury 10-year yields fall to something like, 3%, even below, right? It could go to like, say, even 2%, right? Like, it can even go here. It can even go like 2%. Below 3%. We've had that before, right? Like during COVID. This is only recently. It could, like during COVID, it was down to like 1%. Trump would love to do that, and he would be seen as a great president if he was able to finance $7 trillion of US government debt at like 2% or 1%. But how do you bring 10-year yields down? Because if US 10-year Treasury yields go down that much, then usually there's a recession. So he's trying to pull off a miracle of creating expectations. I'll say that again. Expectations of a recession without actually getting a recession. It's I don't know. It's like if you're a high school kid and your dad wanted you to really do well at school, and he says, well, if you do really well at school this year, I will buy you a car. And at the end of the year, he doesn't buy you a car, but you did really well at school. So he gave you an empty promise or a threat or a lure that made you do something, but in the end, he didn't deliver on it. Well, that's what he's trying to do here. He's threatening the bond market. We're going to have a recession. And the bond market is responding and lowering the yields. The yields have fallen, right? Trump has done his job. You can see here, yields have fallen, right? He really wants it down. And he's threatening that, right, by cutting a lot of government jobs, by doing all that stuff with the tariffs. But in the end, he hopes that we won't get a real recession. No one wants a real recession in the end, right? He just wants the rates, the yields to be lower. So it is a magic trick to make it look like and threaten a recession, get the 10-year yields lower, but without a real recession. Okay, let's have a look at Ethereum and Ethereum Bitcoin. So Ethereum, as I said, 1700. It got down to 1700. That's the that's the level. And now, in a big crash, if we get that on the stock market, it could actually easily wick down to 1650, something like that. Can easily wick down to there. So this 0.023 level has been talked a lot about for ETH, because we've seen it's like, formed so many pivot tops, pivot bottoms, pivot bottoms, pivot bottoms. But it's actually not the ultimate low. The ultimate low is like 0.016. I mean, and then you have another level here, 0.020. ETH can actually wick down to any of those levels. Let's say the next one we could aim for is 0.020. We could get like what we saw here. Like what we saw here, right? This wick down. We could see ETH, Bitcoin wick down to here, bounce off 0.020, and maybe that's the bottom, and we bounce. And then we see a big run from ETH against Bitcoin, because nothing goes in one direction for too long. Nothing. And so where does this whole crash end? In the stock market and in crypto. Basically, my last 3 or 4 videos, I've been telling folks that it all depends on the stock market, and I've been showing this chart. Well, I've been saying Bitcoin's front running the crash in the stock market for a long time, and this chart is what I've been showing in the last few days. Well, this chart is basically Bitcoin price for the last number of years, like 7 or 8 years, and the purple line and the red line are basically this SP 500, SPY, SP 500, QQQ, NASDAQ ETFs, right? So you can see how closely Bitcoin basically tracks the tops and bottoms and tops and bottoms and tops in the stock market. And when does this when does this all end? When do we get the rebound? My thinking is it could actually kind of come at any time, but you just need someone to step in there to stop the stock market from falling. You either need the Federal Reserve, or you need the Treasury, or you need Trump. You need one of those 2 or 3 institutions or people to come out and say, we're going to step in and we're going to put a floor on this market. The Fed used to do that, but right now they want inflation to be lower, and they can't have inflation lower when the stock market is like up, near record highs all the time. So a pullback, a correction, what they call a 10% pullback, or a bear market, what they call 20%, that's when stock prices go down, the stock indexes go down 20%, is probably welcomed by some of those guys. So, like I'll give you guys a quick update of where the stocks are. So if we have a look at here, this is the most important one to watch. That's the SPY SP 500 ETF, and we can see that basically we are. Let me put it on to natural chart, not log. Where basically I'm thinking it's going to bounce off this long green rising channel. We bounced it off, like it's made all these tops and bottoms there. We bounced it off once, twice, and we're not that actually far away. If we open today and come to this 550 area, then chances are we're going to bounce off there, and that would be a short-term bounce. Not sure exactly how Bitcoin would react in that kind of scenario. My guess is Bitcoin probably follows it down for another 1 or 2%, and then we get the bounce. Okay. Anyways, right now is still 2 hours before the U.S. stock market opens on a Tuesday morning in the U.S. So, to all the Aussies out there, Pablo uses Swiftex exchange, and the link to the Pablo deal is in the description below. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys for next episode. Catch ya.